Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has given us unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure or admire an old one. What will we find today? Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
One of my favorite characters in Jesus' birth narrative is Joseph. Mary, of course, is important because she carried the Messiah and she was a willing servant of the Lord. But Joseph's godly character, obedience, and willingness to be part of God's amazing plan shines through in the first chapter of Matthew. After that, we don't hear much about him, and scholars think he must have died, leaving Jesus as the eldest son to take care of Mary. But Joseph played an important part in the birth of Jesus, in his early years as well. We first see Joseph in Matthew as a descendant of David. Though Israel hadn't had kings for many generations, genealogy was incredibly important to them, and meticulous records were kept until the temple was destroyed in 70 A.D. Joseph could trace his ancestry back to David, and this simple carpenter would have been in line to be king. Jesus, being Joseph's oldest child by adoption, would have inherited the kingship. Of course, we know Jesus as king, but Matthew showed that his physical right to be king came through Joseph. We also see what Joseph was like in Matthew 1. When he found out his precious betrothed was pregnant, it must have broken his heart. He knew the baby wasn't his, and humanly speaking, adultery was the only explanation for her condition. Matthew 1:19 says he was a just man, or in some translations, a righteous man, one who kept God's law, one who conformed his life to God's will. Being a righteous man, he was merciful. He loved Mary and didn't want to subject her to stoning, which was the punishment for adultery. She could only be stoned if he accused her, which was his right, but instead he chose to divorce her quietly. This was when Joseph had the first in a series of dreams where God explicitly made his will clear, and Joseph immediately woke up and obeyed. Let me read them to you. The first was in Matthew 1:20. But while he thought about these things, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream, saying, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take to you Mary, your wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit. And she will bring forth a son, and you shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins. Then Joseph, being aroused from sleep, did as the angel of the Lord commanded him, and took to him his wife, and did not know her until she had brought forth her firstborn son, and he called his name Jesus. Then after the wise men left, it says in chapter 2, verses 13 and 14, when they had departed, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, take the young child and his mother, flee to Egypt, and stay there until I bring you word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night, and departed for Egypt. After they were there for a while, he had another dream. Now when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Arise, take the young child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who sought the young child's life are dead. Then he arose, took the young child and his mother, and came into the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was reigning over Judea instead of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. And again, being warned by God in a dream, he turned aside into the region of Galilee. Joseph was obedient, even in some pretty outlandish things that God asked him to do. Taking Mary as his wife, no matter how discreetly he did this, was pretty much an open admission that he was the father of her child. Even if they publicized her claim that it was miraculously God's baby, who would believe that? He certainly hadn't. So in obeying God, Joseph endangered his reputation, his good name, his honorable standing in the community. Sometimes obeying God's will makes us look foolish to others and will give people misconceptions. There's no way around it. But Joseph didn't dwell on that. He freely obeyed the Lord and made Mary his wife. He even kept her virginity safe until she had Jesus. Talk about crazy, though. Getting his family up in the middle of the night and setting off to Egypt, a faraway foreign country, all because of a dream? That was nuts. Who does that? But what if he hadn't obeyed? Satan would have had his way, and the Messiah would have been destroyed. Joseph acted immediately. He woke up and went. Then the next dreams took them from the relative safety in Egypt, probably Alexandria, where Jesus could have received a scholar's education, all the way to poky old Nazareth, where they started out, a place where they would be dirt poor, a place where their reputation was ruined and where the reputation of Jesus would be tainted by the saying, "Nothing good comes from Nazareth." But Joseph obeyed, and God knew he would. That's why he chose Joseph as the earthly father of his son. In fact, with each of the dreams, God had perfect confidence that Joseph would obey, so much so that he'd had a prophecy connected to each of them. They said that the Messiah would be born in Bethlehem. He would be called out of Egypt, and he would be called a Nazarene. God's perfect plan included Joseph, and no part of that plan is too small or too insignificant. His plan includes you, too. Will you be obedient to God's will for you? He may not tell you in a dream, but he'll make his will clear. When he does, will you humbly and immediately obey like Joseph?
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. We'd love to hear the treasures God has given you through his word. You can listen to other episodes on our website, which you can find in the description below. Thank you for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.